You still believe that animal conservation always ends in a depressing biological failure. We have been aggressively sold the idea that when a species reaches critical numbers, its extinction is mathematically inevitable, and that humans only destroy. But Asian records reveal a hopeful scientific reality that completely shatters that pessimistic traditional narrative. Chinese biologists have executed incredible genetic rescue operations that are truly aggressive, highly militarized, and extremely complex. We are talking about fragile species that were reduced to a single digit of living individuals, today fiercely guarded by heavily armed guards and resurrected from the very abyss of total extinction. Today we are going to completely destroy your perception of human ecological impact by showing you 13 real and verifiable genetic miracles. Stay until the very end because the astonishing rescue of number 1 required extremely unusual tactical isolations. But before revealing how this relentless conservation machinery managed to completely reverse the most catastrophic ecological damage of our modern era, make sure to hit that like button on this video right now. Subscribe to the channel if you are truly passionate about discovering the raw scientific reality behind natural phenomena and understanding how extreme biological intervention saves these living wonders. Your support is absolutely vital so that we can continue investigating complex genetic secrets and bringing you hard data analyses that traditional documentaries ignore for being too technical for standard television. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next immersive journey to the astonishing biological confines of the Earth. Now, let's quickly discover the 13 unique Chinese animals that skillfully defied and cheated absolute death. Number 13. The beautiful and unmistakable crested ibis. In the grim year of 1981, global ornithologists declared with absolute certainty that this majestic bird with pink feathers was mathematically extinct in the wild. However, a desperate scientific expedition found exactly 7 unique survivors, hidden in the remote mountains of Shanxi province. From that tiny and extremely vulnerable genetic core, they implemented a relentless militarized regime and a truly obsessive captive breeding program. They immediately banned lethal chemical pesticides in huge agricultural regions and installed advanced infrared cameras in every single fragile nest. Today, the population of this fragile species has astonishingly exploded to over 5,000 individuals flying freely, starring in the most aggressive and astonishingly successful population recovery in the entire history of ornithology. Number 12. The mystical and extremely strange Pear David's deer, locally known for centuries as Milu. This unusual animal is an authentic biological anomaly, historically described as having the antlers of a deer, the neck of a camel, the broad hooves of a cow, and the tail of a donkey. By the end of the bloody 19th century, it was hunted so ruthlessly that it went completely extinct from the massive Chinese territory, leaving only a few frightened specimens in private European zoos. In a spectacular and unprecedented genetic repatriation operation during the 80s, dozens of these beautiful deer were returned to the massive marshy reserves of Beijing. Overcoming the highly dangerous genetic bottleneck with strict reproductive programs, today thousands run freely through their immense ancestral wetlands, miraculously returning from absolute death to dominate their perfect and lethal native Asian ecosystem. Number 11. The incredible and ghostly Chinese crested tern. This extremely elusive seabird was considered by the international scientific community to be Asia's lost mythical bird, as it completely disappeared from biological radars for 60 long years. Experienced researchers gave it up for completely extinct until they found barely 4 tiny breeding pairs nesting on a small island heavily battered by lethal typhoons. To save them from collapse, conservationists executed an ingenious and truly mind-blowing plan of massive biological deception. They cleared entire islands of lethal invasive predators and installed hundreds of plastic decoys with sophisticated audio systems, playing fake calls to strongly attract the real birds. The tactical deception worked to absolute perfection, allowing the fragile colony to establish itself safely and aggressively multiply its numbers against all modern statistical odds. Number 10. The highly resistant and extremely brave Tibetan antelope or chiru. This incredible and swift mammal heroically survives in one of the most hostile, cold, and lethal topographic environments on planet Earth, the immense frozen Qinghai Tibet Plateau. During the violent 90s, they were slaughtered without any mercy by cruel mafias to obtain their ultra-fine wool, the coveted chatouche exclusive to the lucrative black market. To stop the biological carnage, the Asian government deployed relentless, heavily armed anti-poaching squads that waged true, lethal gunfight wars in the frozen desert against these criminals. They created the immense Ho Sil Natural Reserve, a truly impregnable biological fortress, and built massive, safe migratory passages under the fast train tracks. Today, the astonishing population has gone from catastrophic numbers to over 300,000 individuals, demonstrating the lethal power of militarized conservation. Number 9. The immense and armored Chinese alligator. The truly astonishing millennial creature that directly inspired the ancient and imposing myths of the powerful Asian dragon. This lethal and stealthy ambush predator saw its pristine wetland habitat completely destroyed and ravaged by the extremely aggressive expansion of rice farming. The fragile wild population collapsed brutally to fewer than 100 completely terrified individuals, heavily cornered in tiny, isolated mud puddles. The blunt scientific response was an intense captive breeding program on a truly industrial and massive scale in Anhui province, succeeding in reproducing tens of thousands of these tough, armored reptiles. Now they are executing astonishing surgical wild releases, inserting sophisticated advanced tracking microchips into each animal to monitor their lethal movements, and ensuring that restored massive wetlands are again dominated by this silent prehistoric super predator. Number 8. The absolutely indomitable and primitive Przewalski's horse, the only astonishing wild horse species that has never been docilely domesticated by modern man in our entire immense history. In the cold 60s, relentless hunting completely eradicated this strong species from the brutal Asian steppes, declaring them officially and sadly extinct in the harsh wild. Surviving only as a fragile remnant in distant zoos, China initiated an extreme and highly aggressive reintroduction program in the ruthless and scorching Xinjiang desert. Biologists tactically released these captive-bred animals into one of the deadliest climates, where they had to instinctively relearn how to evade lethal hungry wolves and endure apocalyptic snowstorms. Against all apparent biological logic, these robust genetic survivors recovered their most wild primary instincts, and today they gallop, indisputably reclaiming their original throne. Number 7. The visually fascinating and extreme golden snub-nosed monkey. These astonishing and unusual creatures, with their expressive bright blue faces and thick, intensely golden fur, look like strange furry aliens just pulled from an incredible and expensive science fiction movie. They were tragically pushed into the most hostile, high-altitude snowy forests and extreme isolation by the truly destructive massive logging of great ancestral trees. Enduring freezing temperatures truly lethal to most, their weak numbers collapsed in a highly alarming manner. To save them from imminent annihilation, China implemented a brutal and relentless national ban on lethal logging in immense primary forests, completely paralyzing the highly lucrative regional timber industry. They created huge, dense, protected biological corridors for their massive safe migrations. Today, these beautiful and extremely resistant creatures thrive happily in their icy mountain fortresses. Number 6. The adorable and immensely elusive Ili Pika. At first glance, this tiny, furry mountain mammal looks like the astonishing real-life inspiration for the world-famous animated Pikachu. Inhabiting exclusively the ruthless cold and extremely sharp rocks of the steep Tian Shan mountain range, it was biologically discovered by astonishing chance in 1983, but completely disappeared from photographic records for more than 20 long and agonizing years, with its silent and total extinction feared due to brutal climate change. After intense and dangerous searches at extreme and lethal altitudes, tenaciously researchers finally managed to photograph a few very fragile solitary survivors. Immediately, strict and militarized zones of absolute protection were created, blocking highly destructive and greedy commercial grazing. Saving this tiny animal literally required geologically shielding an entire immense mountain range. Number 5. The colossal, slimy, and highly disturbing Chinese giant salamander. This authentic prehistoric aquatic monster is surprisingly the largest living amphibian in the entire world, a lethal living predator that has been silently swimming in our murky continental rivers since the fearsome and distant age of the dinosaurs. Tragically, its massive and fleshy size turned it into a highly coveted and expensive luxury delicacy, driving its ancient wild populations to a truly apocalyptic demographic collapse of nearly 80% total. Although immense and profitable commercial breeding farms managed to produce millions of fattened specimens, the valuable and priceless wild species was quickly dying in silence. Today, using sophisticated and powerful ultra-advanced DNA scanners to identify invaluable pure genetic lineages, astute biologists secretly reintroduced them into impenetrable underground rivers and huge caves heavily guarded against hunters. Number 4. The highly vulnerable and incredibly intelligent Yangtze finless porpoise, known locally and very affectionately in the immense river region as the beautiful and smiling panda of the water. This peaceful aquatic mammal was being brutally and lethally slaughtered by the gigantic propellers of immense cargo ships and the incredibly deadly and illegal commercial fishing electric nets. The highly drastic and terrible situation led critical numbers to fall catastrophically to fewer than 1,000 terrified and desperate individuals. To heroically save this lethal but fragile aquatic predator, the energetic government executed a blunt, truly drastic economic measure, an overwhelming 10-year total commercial fishing ban across the entire, gigantic and lucrative Yangtze River. This massive and blunt ecological intervention immediately swept and cleaned the immense river ecosystem, allowing for astonishing, truly historic numerical increases. Number 3. The biologically incomprehensible and incredibly indestructible wild Bactrian camel. This immense and furry mammal with 2 large humps is not simply a slow, historical western beast of burden. It is an authentic and inexplicable miracle of extreme biological survival, inhabiting the arid and desolate Lop Nur Desert. This scorched and sandy area was literally the lethal and terrifying primary site for China's secret nuclear tests, where they detonated dozens of real, powerful atomic bombs, while everything else was instantly incinerated by brutal lethal radiation. This colossal and astonishing animal survived by drinking water with incredible toxic levels of brine that would kill anyone. To protect this apparently mutant titan from aggressive modern industrial mining, The vast territory has been heavily shielded with relentless extreme military security restrictions, turning its burning nuclear hell into a completely untouchable biological sanctuary. Number 2. The gigantic, fearsome, and astonishingly lethal Siberian tiger, also known as the Amur tiger. This is the imposing, muscular, and agile, largest and truly powerful cat in the entire world. A perfect and relentless natural killing machine biologically designed to perfection, to bloodily govern the dark, snowy forests. Despite its massive and terrifying size, ruthless poaching and highly relentless industrial logging drastically reduced its immense population in Chinese Asian territory to an insignificant dozen frightened and hungry specimens. The truly drastic and immense government solution was to immediately create a massive tiger and leopard national park, an impregnable and impenetrable forest fortress immensely larger than Yellowstone. They carefully equipped this entire vast zone with thousands of sophisticated artificial intelligence biometric recognition cameras that tirelessly monitor every silent, gigantic footprint. Number 1. The unmistakable, cute, and world-renowned, iconic and idolized giant panda. The most extremely famous and media-friendly bear on the immense planet was the sad, definitive symbol of tragic, imminent extinction, constantly and massively losing its dense mountain bamboo habitat and clumsily struggling to manage to reproduce freely in the relentless and harsh Asian wild. However, China decisively injected countless billions of state dollars into the most massive and media-heavy biological rescue operation in all of modern human history. They restored gigantic, lush, entire mountain ecosystems and developed incredible captive breeding programs so obsessive that frightened human handlers wear rudimentary and sweaty, tactical suits soaked in panda urine to avoid destructive artificial human contact. The truly spectacular and media-friendly final result: the panda was officially removed from the lethal list of endangered species. 13 astonishing and immense biological genetic miracles that demonstrate completely, irrefutably, and statistically that lethal and feared extinction is not always the sad, definitive final end if there is the highly relentless and firm scientific will to fight it on a large scale. These immense and fragile animals were not miraculously saved with magical good wishes or simple digital internet campaigns. They were brutally rescued through astonishing extreme tactical interventions, massive and gigantic highly militarized reserves, and truly obsessive applied biology that never accepted sad ecological defeat. If this highly revealing and hopeful scientific information has completely blown your limited biological understanding and restored your real faith in extreme conservation, smash that like button right now, quickly subscribe to the channel, and share this valuable information. Click immediately on the video on screen to continue discovering massive and genius geographical realities.